Update Aita for refusing to have my dad in my life after he chose his new family. Story 1. Thank you for all of the comments, although most seem to be NTA, some were ETA. Some of you gave helpful suggestions which I am planning to take on board. I have just spoken to my fiancé and unfortunately it has not gone well, but at this point in time I've had enough and want to run away and never come back. My fiancé knows my history with my dad and Jay. I explained to him that him siding with my father and pressuring me was hurting me, and as my fiancé he should be supporting me. My fiancé, who I'll call L, told me he can't support me in doing something that he knows is wrong. L told me that he had spoke to my father and had an understanding of both sides of the story and believes that if we both sit down and talk we can sort this out and reconcile. I told L I don't want this and want no contact and asked why he is even speaking to my father. L admitted his father, who is friends with my dad, encouraged L to speak to him and hear him out. L told me my dad loved me very much and always wanted to be in my life, and as pictures of me I'm guessing he got these from my family as my social media is set to private. L said my dad is heartbroken at the state of our relationship because I was being unreasonable about him moving away when I was young. L stated I got on the wrong foot with Jay and that I was not innocent in the breakdown of the relationship. He told me that everyone can see the truth but me, and to look in the mirror because I'm the problem. Needless to say, I broke down crying and asked him why he was doing this to me and not supporting me. L claims to love me but won't stand by and watch me be a heartless bitch. After he said this, I stood up, told him that he shouldn't marry a heartless bitch, and walked out. I'm currently sat in my car. My phone is blowing up with L trying to contact me, but I don't want to speak to him. I feel like I'm losing everything and everyone. I don't understand what is happening. Our advice. I'm truly sorry for the difficult situation you're facing. It's incredibly painful to feel unsupported by someone you love, especially when dealing with sensitive family issues. Taking time for yourself is crucial right now. Find a quiet space to gather your thoughts and emotions. Seek comfort and guidance from a trusted friend or family member who can offer support and understanding during this challenging time. Reflect on your relationship with your fiancé and whether his actions align with the kind of support and empathy you deserve. Setting boundaries is important. Remember that you have the right to decide who you want in your life and how you navigate these complex family dynamics. When you feel ready, communicate your feelings calmly and assertively to your fiancé, expressing your needs and expectations moving forward. Your well-being and emotional health are paramount. Surround yourself with people who uplift and respect you, and prioritize your own healing and happiness. First comment, for real. It's better to have found out before tying the knot that your future spouse is an affair cheater sympathizer. He claimed to understand both sides, but he really doesn't. He's only doing what his daddy wants, and following everyone else's lead. How you possibly excuse a man telling his own child that his new family is more important? Like TF. He actually said the woman who helped him destroy his family is more important. He really has a B. TF ad all the way up. Not to mention, he spent money that was Up's college on his new family out of spite. That's enough to seal the deal. It's Up's sperm donor's responsibility as a so-called father to repair and facilitate any kind of relationship with his child. He decided to be a father. He decided to bring Up into this world. It's not Up's responsibility to repair anything because her sperm donor is the cause of everything. People seem to assume that things that occurred during your childhood shouldn't matter or affect you in your adulthood. However, that's not the case. Things like what was told to Op during her childhood, by her own father nonetheless, is extremely traumatizing and can have a permanent impact on her life. If the people that are saying Op is in the wrong, on here or their life in any way, then they are most likely the toxic and enabling people in their own family. There is absolutely no way for anyone to even give a logical reason to justify Op's sperm donor's actions. That's why people keep saying that Op needs to forgive him, because that's her only father. And all that other noise. Well, guess what? Since people want to bitch about him being her father, then get on his case to step TF up and take responsibility for his actions. Second comment. I just want to say how ridiculous it is that your father blames you for the breakdown of the relationship with Jay. It is all his and Jay's fault. There was friction. She was his mistress, and she worked with your father to demolish your family. Anyone with a brain could see a 13-year-old holding resentment and not behaving with understanding and kindness in that situation. Furthermore, your father conveniently put you and your sister on a back burner in order to please Jay. He is a piss-poor father. Maybe he's better with his son and he seems better with your sister, but your sister probably does the bulk of that heavy lifting. If he weren't such a selfish asshole, he would have left you alone and stopped pestering everyone connected to you to force a relationship. I am sorry your fiancé is not supporting you the way you need to be supported. Story 2. Am I the for wanting to leave my husband after he called me a whore? Buckle up, I'm sorry this is so long. I, 31F, have been married to my husband 35M for 10 years. I recently took 1 new roles and titles at work, leaving me to work 50 hours a week while being a parent. While keeping up with daily chores and schedules, we are running all the time. We only eat out once a month as a treat, so I try to cook every night for my kids. I have lost myself in trying to keep up with everyone else in the household. I promise that's an important note. For the last 10 days I have been sick, fevers, swollen throat, lymph nodes, canker sores that have overruled my mouth. I knew I was overly stressed with work and home life, so I went on about my day. I went to the local walk-in clinic and was rubbed off with it looks viral, looks of fluids and rest should clear this up. 3 days after visiting the local clinic, I noticed my symptoms were not getting any better. I made an appointment at an urgent care an hour away from my home. Before I left, I told my husband, I'm going to _______, because I don't feel like they understood my symptoms and treated me well at the local walk-in. He gave me a hesitant look and said, okay. As I walked out of the door, I got to the hospital, where I was receiving care for my symptoms, and called my husband to let him know what was going on. While I was hooked up to an IV, he cut me off on our FaceTime call and said, so, who's there with you? Confused. I looked around and showed him the room. I reassured him that no one else was there, and I was not going to play his little games, as he does sometimes to make me laugh. He ended up hanging up after that. I was given my medical evaluation, something along the lines of having a viral infection that exploded into leaving my mouth full of canker sores. I was in so much pain. They advised me that it was completely okay and didn't mean anything negative. It just meant that I had been so stressed and I wasn't given the proper treatment at the local hospital. While waiting to be discharged, I was ordering my husband's favorite restaurant food to come home with. Knowing he had been taking care of my kids and myself for the last 5 days, I wanted to do something nice for him. I called to let him know that I was on my way home and I just had one more quick stop after my medications were ready. He blew up. He asked what I was doing at said restaurant because he saw the charges on the bank account. He started accusing me of going out of town to see someone else and make the comments, I know you didn't drive up there just to go to the hospital. I saw the charges at ____, so if you were that sick, you wouldn't have been there at this point. I am fuming. I don't get it. After an hour drive back home, I dropped his favorite food off on the counter and said, this is why I went there. Do you know how shitty it was to have your husband not believe you when you're hooked to an IV? I started to tear up. My heart is broken. He profusely apologized and said, I never want to lose you. I walked away as I am putting my medication away from the doctor. He reads the label. Contains the word herpes on the label. He started fuming again. He said, can you imagine I have Yo go back to work on Sunday and tell them my wife was sick and found out she had herpes? I explained to him that I did not in fact have herpes, but canker sores were treated in the same family for how bad mine was. Without hesitation he responded and said, that makes you sound like such a whore. After everything I do to stay afloat, I felt this jab deep in my chest. I barely have time to catch my breath, let alone look the other way. I have packed a bag. I am headed to my parents. So, Reddit, am I the asshole? Our advice. No, you are not the for wanting to leave your husband after he called you a whore. It sounds like you've been going through an incredibly challenging time with work, parenting, and managing your health. You sought medical care responsibly, communicated openly with your husband, and tried to do something nice for him despite feeling very unwell. His reactions and accusations were not only hurtful but also unfair and unwarranted given the circumstances. Trust and support are fundamental in a marriage, especially during difficult times. His lack of trust and hurtful comments have understandably left you feeling deeply hurt and disrespected. Leaving to stay with your parents gives you space to process your emotions and consider what is best for your well-being. It's important to prioritize your own health and happiness. Seeking support from trusted friends or family members and possibly seeking couples counseling may also be helpful in navigating this situation. Ultimately, you deserve to be with someone who respects and supports you through sickness and health. Trust is a cornerstone of any relationship, and it's okay to prioritize your own emotional well-being in this situation. First comment. Which caring partner blows up on his wife based on weak assumptions, then tells her he can't lose her, and then turns around and calls her a whore? He should have figured out a babysitting situation for the kids and driven you to the clinic op. You shouldn't have to deal with so much while being in as much pain as you were. Also, the constant FT calls, checking bank statements, and telling his workplace about his wife's health tells me this is not a guy you should trust or do so much for. He's a borderline sociopath if not fully. NTA. You should absolutely not go back until you think about your future with this sorry excuse of a partner. Hell, you should have mixed laxatives with his favorite food and then Tell everyone at your workplace that your husband has explosive diarrhea so you can't be around him. Second comment, sweetie, quit making excuses as to why you are having to do everything. It doesn't matter that his work is an hour away. You are not solely responsible for every dang thing to do with the household and children. You shouldn't be working 50 hours a week plus having to do everything else. He holds responsibility to you and his children. You getting him a treat for watching his own children. Who gets you treats for watching your children? I am, or is called being a parent. I know this kind of man. I was married to him. The best decision I ever made for myself was to leave him. It was hard, but the relief I felt was something I didn't realize was possible or even needed until I felt it. Don't stay for the children. They see what is happening. They are going to grow up thinking this is what love is. You do them no favors by staying.